because depth of map pool is also something, a big conversation that we have, and our first pick is in. Jesse, can you please guide us through it?
Yeah, Bank, no surprises here. It's one of Bliss's favorite maps. They've run it twice in Manchester, first beating M80, but then losing Team Secret 7-4 the very next day. That's where some of those attacks certainly were coming in and having those struggles. For BDS, they've not played it in a while. I believe Atlanta Major against Sonics was the last time we saw them play Bank, so it's been a hot minute, at least in official competition.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see what this next map is, really.
I'll pull it up for you. All for you, Lex.
So, I mean, this is a tough one because this is one of BDS's favorites maps. And now you're going to have Bliss starting on defense, which is good. But for me, starting on Clubhouse on attack, that's typically better. It gets the comms going. It gets everything's flowing. And if you can at least get 2 or 3 attacks, you're going to be solid on those defenses. So this is going to be a tough match for Bliss, specifically going into this Clubhouse.
Important to know as well, since BDS choosing attack on Bank, it will be back-to-back starts for Bliss on the defense. We'll see what map 3 holds. If they get 3 for 3 defensive starts, would be pretty nice, especially in high-pressure games. I do think for Clubhouse, it's been one that BDS have dominated on. Undefeated domestically in Manchester, though. They did lose it to Furia in an 8-6 game. So really going to be interesting to see when we get this third map, what that ends up being. Because again, I agree, it feels like we're going to 3.
So I've said this to Oregon, and I specifically went over this morning. I'm done saying Oregon is a default map. This is what I'm going to say Oregon is. Oregon is a battleground where it's pure testament of who is the better team. You are specifically going to that map to prove a point. It's not to, you know, who this, who's that. It is specifically your fundamentals are just simply better than the other teams whenever you take a team to Oregon.
And this Oregon is going to be a real test because for BDS, it's been extremely common. 3 plays through the first 3 days of Manchester, Space Station, Talon, and Cyclops. For Bliss, yet to play it throughout the entirety of the season. So when you're looking at an intel advantage, that's going to favor the Australians if we get to that third map.
That's actually insane for us to say.
Yeah.
At this point, there are no teams that are just safe in their running. Everybody's had a tough time to get here. Even the teams that have already qualified, yeah, of course you're going to make it through, but you're not getting it easy at all.
I mean, I'm just hoping to see with some of these maps that they're bringing something different. Because if you're going to be saving strats, whatever it is, you have to pull them out now. This is your last lifeline.
And let's talk about our casters, because they're waiting for us on the other end of the line. Dev Marta and Lynx join us for this cast. Bliss are playing in this game, James. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, who's going to win, James?
Bit of a loaded question, guys, so thanks for throwing me under the bus. But yeah, of course, deep down and maybe a little bit outwardly, I am going to be rooting for my Aussie boys, but it's a very tough game. Everyone was touting BDS to be the best team in the world after they won Europe League in Stage 1.
Self-included.
Yeah, and while they didn't make SI, they have really bounced back, and they'll be looking for their first main stage appearance in a while. But yeah, it's possible. We've seen how rocky they've been so far.
Well, Carter, you're going for it. You got Bliss here, underdogs. I mean, you think you'll take it today?
Well, that's the thing. I'm inclined to say BDS, but I was also inclined to say BDS against CAG, and they almost lost it. 8-7 on 2 maps. And then I was inclined to say against Furia, 8-6-2. They've only had one genuinely dominant lead so far. It has been close games all the way through. If there was ever a time to upset for Bliss and make their first main stage appearance, it might be against BDS, who I thought could win the whole tournament.
All right, tall one, loud one, all yours with our matchup.
Is that an epithets from now on, the tall one and the loud one? I'll take that.
I mean, I have to be self-aware and say it's not exactly an unearned moniker on my part, and certainly not unearned on your part either. But Dev, I am extremely excited for this one because, like I just mentioned, I've really enjoyed Bliss over the past year. From Copenhagen last year, did they get knocked out early? Yes. But every single event, it has been a steady improvement. And ultimately, they're a top 8 team in the world at SI, and BDS weren't even able to make it. In some ways, if you would really twist it, maybe they're not the underdogs in this case.
A couple of ways to spin this one, but there's no doubt that this is do or die for both teams. It's been quite a quest throughout the majors so far for Bliss and BDS, but who will be the better of the 2 pink teams? It's time to find out. Bliss's map pick here on Bank is where we kick off what could be quite a historic series.
Quite a historic series it could be, but I have to say I do have to already raise some concerns with Bliss going into this series. Not that Bank is a bad map for them. It's exceptionally comfortable. They love it. They got a huge upset over FaZe back at SI, but because you get that upset, it's going to put your map on a lot of teams' radars, and Bliss relying on this map again in the best of 3, I think BDS, this will be right up there in the maps they expected Bliss to pick. And similar to the desk talked about, I want to see Bliss change things up because if they don't, I think BDS will be ready for this pick. And already starting out, we have some different bans coming through for both these teams. Bliss especially banned Ace in their previous matchup against Secret. It's the Monty and Cade taken down this time.
That Monty has been a real menace in this event so far, ever since the shield rework post-SI. Everyone's been crutching on that Monty. Everyone's been using it to its fullest capacity. But let's not forget that, of course, while this is Bliss's map pick and Bank is their favorite map, as you said, it's actually BDS's least favorite map. Jesse said that they haven't played it since the Atlanta Major when they beat Sonics on that map, and since then it has been by far their most banned map. So yes, BDS expected this, but have they been preparing for it? Because it's really not been a map that they have signaled that they have been practicing on. Perhaps they're taking a little bit of a gamble by letting it through the veto, or perhaps they're just happy to weather the storm, let Bliss play their favorite map, and then focus up on maps 2 and 3. No matter which way you spin it, Bliss really have to win Bank. If BDS take this, that is the biggest red flag of Bliss losing their best map on BDS's worst map to start the series.
Yeah, absolute must-win for Bliss, and honestly, you could even say must-win for BDS to be comfortable. If all of their series so far have gone close, again, only one strong, 7-2 loss, everything else pretty much 8-6, 8-7s all the way through the Swiss stage by a wide margin. BDS might very well find this a must-win as well. If Bliss could take them the distance, they might need every single round they can muster. And to fully cap off your point, I suppose, since this is Bliss's or BDS's first game day Bank with this new roster, the big issue we've seen from them in games against CAG, in games against Furia, has been, even though close games, individual mistakes from BDS defining it. LickyFact maybe making a push he shouldn't. Shaiko hanging a bit further back when he shouldn't. And on a new map where you haven't fully practiced the strats on game day under that pressure, that's when individual mistakes can really start bubbling to the surface.
As BDS approach the map for this clear, we have quite an aggressive and ambitious hold from Bliss, contesting that first floor hallway near elevator. Wedables himself hiding behind a shield. And he also has these yokai drones to try and scout for some information. User spots it, but it does get back into a safe position. I like the way that these yokais are being used quite aggressively to draw some information for Bliss, but BDS are quite aware of it. Brendo is the one that needs to make good on this info.
Oh!
He does a little bit of damage to LickyFact, but not able to confirm a kill as of yet. Shaiko's come from the backstab, and he does find the opening pick in favor of the French.
One reason why BDS was so scary, you've got LickyFact lurking, Shaiko going for the pinch, Solotov on the entry as well. Yuzu's with the backstab. These are some of the biggest names in Europe, and even the biggest names in the world, all looking to pinch Brendo in the early round. Oda now cut short. Solotov with his first of the game. Sage feeling a bit of pressure to rotate back entirely with the hatch opened up. Shaiko will take that line against Fisho guy playing red. If he goes down at this point, it might be the round done and dusted for Blitz, but BDS don't need to take this fight. They can reset if they want to. I don't think Shaiko will take my advice then.
It doesn't need to. It's just about continuing that pressure for BDS. Bliss are the ones in desperate measures at the moment, and Sage will go for a very ambitious flank all the way to the top floor. He's playing a very slow and loud operator. And, oh, the mirror window? No, okay. Good work from Sage from above. The hatch was closed, but he was able to find a kill regardless. Now his position revealed, BDS can focus up on the site.
They can focus up on the site. Only issue is now BDS know it's a 4v2. That makes Fisho guy and Wedables utility, the smoke canisters and the yokais really, really important. Sage on the flank could be huge. That could win Bliss the round, but BDS know they have the man advantage to execute, and there's utility in their way that it needs to land.
Fish is so low on HP. He does have that killer utility with the smoke to drain out time. Solotov is looking for the yokais. He knows that that is Bliss's win condition at the moment. Oh! Fish low HP and the Twitch drone can take him down. The Twitch drone eventually traded back, but Wedables is distracted. He's not able to use his yokais to deny the plant as he had to go for the res. Once again, it's all on Sage. Going for the flank, but he has been spotted. He has been red. It's all now up to Wedables. Easy closeout for BDS and a very strong start to their opponent's map pick.
Such a good play right there from BDS. Who knows if the Twitch drone specifically going to target the smoke was intended. But Shaiko knew, based on that gunfight earlier, he had tagged up the smoke quite a bit. And so Solotov with the quick thinking, ignores the mirror window, shocks the smoke, and that's the round right there. Because as you pointed out, he can't use the smokes, and Wedables can't use the yokais because he doesn't want to be the only guy down below. Makes the decision to go for the res and unfortunately cost him in that moment. But even then, that wasn't the exact problem for Bliss. BDS's clear was quite excellent. Brendo had the drop on LickyFact, but Shaiko coming around for the pinch. The coordination strong for BDS in the first round.
I thought it was really good roam clear. It puts the pressure on Bliss. They tried something a little bit ambitious, and they didn't get away with it. They're going to look to change up the bomb sites, which I think is a good move here. The Bliss can't wait too long to find their momentum. Yes, BDS chose the attack. They believe this is to be the favored side. And on Bank, it tends to be a little bit more so than other maps. But Bliss, personally, they do favor their defense on this map at a 64% win rate. You'd expect with that, they'd be looking for a 4-2 split. And they've already lost one of the 2 rounds they can realistically afford.
And a strong defense usually for teams on Bang comes from a very strong roam. Not necessarily a deep roam all the way up to the top floor if you're defending basement, but able to hold map control for sometimes even half the round. If you're defending basement, that involves holding open area, holding tellers. If you're defending, in this particular case, tellers, that means holding CEO for usually around half the round. And Bliss right now, even with Mira on the board, they are holding the top floor, but it's a much looser roam. Oda picking the Vigil, an operator we've seen a little bit this tournament, but if BDS's ability to pinch is as good as last round, this solo roamer might not be long for this world.
They know. I'm not sure exactly why. Leak of Hack does have information here. I'm not sure he's been able to spot Oda. It looks like he has. There's a slew of methods of dealing with this Vigil. Even Shaiko is able to see him, but uses on Repel, punishes that early roamer. Not a minute into the round, BDS have their opening pick, and this information is so challenging for Bliss to deal with.
I think Bliss might be overcomplicating things a little bit. Sure, ooh, okay.
Nice.
Well, right as I say that, really nice. Retake of the control inside a square, cutting down Shaiko and neutralizing that advantage, but without that Mira and dedicating Oda as the main player to hold the top floor with Sage on the back line, because he's positioned so far forward, you allow BDS, who just cleared out your roam expertly last round, to Z-ping you, shut you down. Sage can still hold the top floor, thankfully, and with that kill in square, they've made it the 4v4, and they've got intel with these Yokais on the main lobby player. If we see somebody up top get aggressive, they might be able to win this fight, especially now that it's a 4v3 for Bliss.
This is where Bliss can just chill out a little bit. They've got the numbers back in their favor, and there's tons of information for both teams. Apparently, they're not going to go and do that, though. They will double down. Wedables goes for an aggressive pick, and he does find Leak of Fact. So 2 versus 4, desperate times for BDS. They've played it slow and steady, and while it netted them an early advantage, since then they have really struggled to convert the early pick that they found onto Oda in the first minute of the round. Uses, he's been the stellar player, but he's shut down quite swiftly. Wedables, he's been quite a pocket of conversation for us at this major so far. Brendo finding the final kill, gets the first round for the Aussies.
Obviously, Oda's position, I think, definitely not necessarily the best positioning from Bliss in that round, but everything after that was really quite nice. Of course, we have the 2 players peeking from stock and bottom square once they get intel on Shaiko's position. You obviously have Wedables winning that fight against, I believe, Brede later on in the round. Bliss able to find BDS in isolated positions or able to isolate 1v1s and get some very, very necessary picks. I also have to commend Wedables, you know, technically the newest pickup on Bliss, though he's been on the roster for quite a while now, peeking ahead of the flash when Users throws it in, anticipating the hop-in from Lone to make that 2v4 a true impossibility for BDS. One of those fun games you and I have, Dev, where we see a good round from one team, good round from another team, makes you and I feel a lot more secure going into this.
Yeah, it's exciting because we want a good match. Like, that's bottom line. Whoever wins, we just want a really solid series, and BDS have delivered on those so far, which has been great. Like, if you're a BDS fan, you maybe don't feel the same way because of how heart-wrenching some of those wins and losses have been, but particularly that CAG versus BDS game yesterday was a historic match, one for the ages. BDS survived it when it realistically could have gone the other way by...
Could make an argument that CAG should have won that.
Yeah, the narrowest margin, and CAG would have got him, and now Bliss, another APAC team, has a chance to take on BDS, but BDS have, I think, weathered the storm after losing to PSG. They just managed to overcome CAG. They built that momentum up, and it's quite a contrast to what's happened with Bliss, where they started very strong and since then have lost 2 BO3s.
We're probably going to see here is the rush into the double door. Yep, the buck, the blitz into the plant.
Oda's ready for it. Oda does come for a flank. The blitz has gone in, but it seems to fall flat mostly on its face. Sage still holding onto the side. He has a C4 to use, but Brendo is making this very awkward. Sage as well. The 2 brothers locking out the bomb site. Very solid from Bliss, withstanding that rush. A nice attempt from BDS, but it was read to perfection.
It was read quite well. The site player's ready. Once they hear the Lion call go out, the Dokkaebi call. And then also, I think the Skeleton Key opening up that wall. Typically, especially if Bank is as well practiced a map for Bliss as we know it is, they're going to be ready for that kind of rush. It's not common, but if you're defending open area, and there's going to be a rush, it's probably going to be from that part of the map, through electrical, through the double door. I mean, to be fair, we also see the iteration with the Amaru up the hatch and then running up marble stairs, but that's a little less common. Bliss is clearly ready for that. I imagine they've scrimmed that rush multiple times.
Probably. Well, ironically, that could have gone BDS's way. I feel like the one mishap was the fact that Oda had just had enough time, maybe a space of 5 seconds, to rotate back through archives and have a line of sight to try and contest the players that were coming in from electrical. That, and on top of the fact that 2 Bliss players on site were very ready to receive, it made things much more difficult for BDS. But I digress. We go back to the basement now for Bliss. Funnily enough, usually the most favored bomb site by no small margin. Now they've had success on Tellers and Open Area, the 2 ground floor bomb sites, which are arguably the 2 least favored on this map. They go back to the basement, and this is where things look quite rough around the edges for them. BDS was so good, so efficient at that map clear, and converted a very easy numbers advantage as well.
Which is why I think you guys can see in the positioning that Bliss have pulled as far back as they can without fully seeding pressure onto the middle floor. They've gone for more the server stairs hold with Fisher Guy up top. They've got Wedables inside of server as well to protect him. And I believe, yep, you can just see it through the outlines in the wall. Oda on the Valkyrie is also, or at least was, playing around the marble stairs area, but I imagine anybody, whether it be Oda, Sage, somebody could rotate back up those stairs, pressure anybody as they go into open area. Nice little Val cam. The spot, Lickyfac, going for that classic ATM's lurk. He's always going to be in positions like this. He is the main lurker for BDS, walking through ATMs, trying to find a gap in the defense. So good that they found his position early on.
Good information for Bliss, just having some late round ideas of where BDS might be looking to go for. Yeah, all of these Valkyrie cameras seemingly just used to try and get a read on that late round. And yes, a bit of an early peak from Fish, but he really needs to prioritize staying alive here. The smoke, he's got 3 gas babes and some utility to try and fortify this position, hold on to it for as long as possible, which is important because BDS have made such good time thus far.
And also with that Valcam still alive, remember how Wedables was able to take down Yuzus a couple rounds ago, peeking ahead of the flash? If that Valkyrie camera stays alive, they can relay to Fisher Guy, hey, they're cooking the flash, they're about to throw, and he can swing ahead of it and get that kind of extra half second of reaction time to maybe get a highlight clip that we sometimes see on server stairs with those multiple pumps from the shotgun.
Good time from BDS, though, as they start to clear out some map control in server. The Roteros and the Twitch drones together are going to clear out a lot of this util. Vulcan canisters. Of course, there's still mirror windows to deal with, and Fisho Guy, he's been spotted by the Grimm's Bees. A flash to go in as well. He's surely dead to rights. And indeed, he doesn't find a single kill on his way out, but he has wasted 2 minutes. That might still be enough for Bliss, but BDS should be happy. They just need to focus up on looking for this plant.
Exactly, and they've got 45 seconds to do so, which gives them a lot of time to extract these C4s from Oda and Brendo. They've already popped the Vulcan pack, so really all they need to be concerned about is the red position with the C4s and that long angle held by Sage and Garage.
Here come the Bees. Sage contesting this long line of sight from Garage as the plant begins to go down. Lickyfac from above. The Grim is making this all kinds of difficult for Bliss, and Users has punished Oda. The plant down. A 3v5 for the Aussies. A retake that looks nigh impossible. The C4s not impactful, not a single one able to be thrown. Oda was dispatched with quite easily. Brendo not able to get into a position to fling his as Sage looks for a flank, but these Bees are being so challenging for Bliss to overcome. Both of the remaining Aussies head upstairs, but Lickyfac is ready to receive the first one. Quite a staple kill for Lickyfac. Sage now having to drop the hatch, but there's no time for this round to be done. Bliss have been obliterated 2 rounds on this basement. BDS fumbled for a few there, but they managed to recompose to perfection. A flawless round. Quite a way to do it for the French.
Well and truly a flawless round, not only numerically, but qualitatively as well. I mean, everything from the map control established, to clearing out the server stairs, to the Grim utility for the execute. Basically an S-tier round from BDS. They're able to pinch the smoke, and instead of just flooding in through the top, as we see a lot of teams do, they've cleared out server, pushed Wedables back, and they insert Solotov at the bottom. And then once they actually go in for the execute, you don't see Lickyfac spamming those Bees everywhere. He's strategically putting it along the red hull at regular intervals to make it so the player in server holding that angle has the intel when Oda goes for that C4. So just very clinical execute from BDS. Excellent at attacking that bottom floor side for their 2 victories.
It starts making you wonder, does Bliss maybe not go back there ever again?
I would not. I genuinely would not.
Yeah, it's just so solid from BDS, those attacks down on the basement. You can see why they wanted to pick the attacking side. However, we do need to see a little bit more from them because we didn't see a lot of success on the Teller's bomb site. That was pretty rough. They never really got to activate their game plan. And that office bomb site was even more rough with that failed rush. So Bliss are going to go to the top floor. We've actually seen a fourth different bomb site here picked on Bank. And this could be quite telling, because if Bliss can't defend this one, then BDS have pretty much done all they need to on their attack path.
Yeah, Bliss are going to this bomb site, trying to catch BDS off guard, throw a new setup at them. But as you said, if Bliss lose this one, they're going to go back to Tellers, where obviously BDS lost last time, but they have a feel for Bliss's setup, how they like to roam and hold the middle floor and the top floor as well. They're also, BDS, if they go back to open area, are not going to go for that same rush again. So they have that knowledge of what Bliss have done previously. So very much, if Bliss want to guarantee themselves an even half, but more importantly, a shot at the 4-2, need to win this site. But with how well, I will say, that BDS were able to get an execute down in the previous round, that's often how these CEO sites go, whether it's from the front or from the back. Usually teams are aiming to put the diffuser down. That's one hell of a way to make it more difficult for BDS to enter.
Yeah, Solotov is a big operator. Playing that Dokkaebi utility that's just simply not going to be used this round. Leakafac's done some good work on the Twitch so far, but losing the player is really just such a difficult obstacle to overcome for BDS. Oh, there's good information here for Wettables as well on that Valkyrie camera. Yeah, there's so much information. This is an info game, right? We've seen so many info ops on both sides. Special drone squad with BDS picking that Twitch and the Flores in previous rounds. We saw the Zero previously as well. And Bliss really loving the Echo and Valkyrie combo.
Love these Zoto canisters to make opening up the Canto wall a lot more delayed, but that wall's going to get opened up eventually, as you can see. And Yuzu's, this position is meant to play the long game. He's going to be here the entire round, so whether it opens up at 2:30 or a minute 30, Yuzu doesn't care one way or the other. The still persisting boon for Bliss is Solotov. You know, 2 rounds in a row now, he's got that opening pick. You remove the Dokkaebi calls from play. How difficult will this Grim be? Or will it matter? As long as Bliss retain this advantage, the square player dealt with. Likifac now has to take that position. If BDS were gunning for an execute, and all the Bs are gone, I doubt they're going to be able to get one.
The key here, the way back in for BDS is finding a pick, and Oda needs to be really careful not to secede his life. Leakafac's been on fire this game, and he continues that. Big kill onto Oda. Numbers are even once again. Back into the realm of possibility for BDS.
Very much so. I think at the next position they might want to deal with will be Fisher Guy playing inside a Janitor. They've got one set of Bs for it, some smokes to cut off the entry into the site too. Sure, it's close with the shotgun, but this is the main player I think BDS could work to get a 3v2.
The Sage has actually abandoned the site. He's not sure about what he wants to do. Leakafac.
Long angle.
Dangerous with that DMR. Wettables down. The Yokai's ineffectual. He even spots Sage there, who doesn't do enough damage to convert a kill. Fisher Guy is now trapped. Both defenders have C4s, but are they going to be able to get into position to use them? Sage finds a critical kill, but is traded by Users, and Fisher Guy does not survive. BDS firing up 3 rounds of attack, may be all that they need on Bank, but they're going to gun for more regardless.
Excellent play from Likifac right there, realizing that very much once you're down in that 3v4, moving into the site with such low time and just trying to go forth with the plan is not going to do you any favors, especially when they're still owed it down below with that C4. But being the farthest extended player, Likifac able to get his second, but also importantly get that 3v3, a one-tap onto Wettables as he's trying to challenge that long hallway. Overall, great rotations by BDS to support that play from Likifac, but a good individual maneuver to win that round basically off of the kills as they moved into the site.
Users is top fragging, and Solotov is also out fragging him, but Leakafac seems to me to be like the cornerstone of highlight players in this game, despite being behind, I guess, 2 of his teammates. And it's really just because every time we spectate him, he seems to be in such an impactful position and finding a really essential kill for BDS converting the round winner. Happened on that basement as well. He was the one to get the opening kill onto Fisher Guy playing the blue stairs, and he had a huge 3K just then. He needs to be shut down by Bliss if they have any hope of tying this round up, ending into the second half at an even equation. And realistically, that is the priority for Bliss. Like, they can't afford to go down 2-4 on their defensive side on this map.
When BDS have been winning, I mean, you talked about Likifac as well, but it's been players at every end of the round doing well. As you said, Solotov on that entry, Likifac Yuzus on the lurk in the middle, the late round. Really been a good individual performance from BDS so far. The only rounds that they were dropping were genuinely when Bliss were outgunning them, winning their 1v1s on that Teller's site, holding control or stopping the rush on the Office site. But after that failed rush, we're really only looking at Tellers as a round where BDS put forth a more long-term idea over the course of the round, and Bliss were effectively able to shut it down, I suppose. Yuzu's back on this main lobby repel where he's been every single time. So good in this cutoff. It's going to make Weddable's position a lot more difficult, especially once somebody from BDS starts pushing him up front.
Yeah, I think Wett's in a really awkward spot now. He's got all these players on various different repels contesting him. He does try and fire some bullets back their way. There are 3 different repelling players looking to pinch him out. He just needs to hide in this one corner and not move and force the opponents to deal with him. Solotov eventually gets the angle. So well played from BDS. They know the architecture of this map. They know how to pinch out these players, and they've done it in quite good timing as well.
And the coordination from BDS this entire half on this roam clear has been so good no matter the site. Like I said, only really Tellers being the only weakness once they actually went for a full clear. And it just continues to be in this round. Sage now in a bit of a difficult position, both him and Brendo, the brothers, trying to hold down this top floor. It's a similar position that BDS found Bliss in the previous, where you have players that could very well be pinched. Brendo and Stock. He wants to take a fight on this window. There might be Solotov or Yuzus or Lickyfac ready to take him down. Sage will make the smart call to rotate, and Oda, a very important pick, but Lickyfac is hot on his heels.
And looking for a trade. Lickafac's been so deadly. That DMR packs a serious punch, and he's proven how lethal he is with them. The call and the fall off for Bliss as Yuzus gets into the building and starts to open up more long angles towards the site. BDS looking very well poised.
Very well poised, and the big thing that Bliss need to hold on is once these flashbangs come out from Lickyfac and the push-in from Tellers, they need to get a kill somewhere else and anticipate this lurk. I think they do with guns already trained on it, but if BDS get the 4v3, I think they close this half 4-2.
Oh, Lickyfac. Ain't nobody can stop this man. Fisho Guy was one of the key players on site to slow down the push, and he's been shut down without a fight. Brendo too scared to peek. Oda needed to land that. Shaiko's taken down Brendo, leaving just Oda and Sage to repel the onslaught from the French. Down goes Yuzus, and Oda as well has hit the deck. It's all up to Sage now in a 1 versus 4. Lickyfac doesn't need to peek. This plant needs to be denied. Good first kill. A C4 over the top. Does it deny the plant? It certainly will not. BDS dominating in their attack. Farming Bliss in this first half.
Those pinches on the roam, man. BDS so good with it, consistently getting a 5v4 that half, save for one round that, ironically, they didn't even convert. But we do have Jesse J. Chick, my favorite Canadian boy, for a call-in. Some information to provide us. Jesse, what have you watched in these past 6 rounds, or what do you have prepped for us?
How's it going, boys? We have a lot to talk about through this game. Obviously, we have Bliss on a 4-game losing streak through best of 3s so far. They've yet to win a single map in BO3s this tournament. Their last BO3 map win came during the OCE Grand Final, so they're 0-4 for the last couple of matches. And to change that, they're going to have to go positive attacking bank. Now, that could be a tall task. Their last bank game came 2 days ago against Team Secret, and their attacks were the problems. They really struggled to get going on the timing of it. Bliss have always kind of been a bit of a slow team. A minute 33 is their average first gunfight throughout this tournament so far. So to take this map against BDS, they're going to need to speed up their attacks, and they're going to need to be really on point with these opening picks.
Well, we're starting the action phase, so let's start the clock right now. Thank you, Jesse and Dev. Let's see how well that prediction holds.
It's a big ask, isn't it, from Jesse? Bliss have struggled on their attack previously on bank, and now they move on to their attack half, 2 rounds trailing behind BDS, and this is their map pick as well. The big weakness that we've seen from BDS in their games against Talon and CAG is that they're losing the mental game. Like, they look tilted as hell. And I think Bliss's way out of this game, their way to navigate the storm, was to have a reasonably strong start, just be chill, be confident, and then start to expose a lot of BDS's weakness. But we have, to be honest, seen almost no weaknesses from BDS so far.
Well, we have a 2-5 game from Shaiko, and we're still basically saying BDS undeniably won that half. When your star player, basically the star player in the world, doesn't even really need to show up in the game all that much for you to look like the winner of a half, you know we're in bad shape, fellas. Brendo will spot one, but you gotta hit those shots. Lickyfac not even taking a lick of damage in that engagement, and he loses as Yuzus reaggresses. Well, I guess the first gunfight happened a lot quicker than a minute 30, but Bliss have lost 2 in the span of a minute 10.
Man, that's such a tilter. I mean, that could have well been 2 kills for Bliss and nothing for BDS. Quite the opposite happens. Now, desperation as Bliss lurk in. Oda thought he had information on someone here in Archives, but he has already fallen on back. I think that BDS have identified, look, we're 2 players up. We can just fall back to site. And for the most part, there's nothing we really realistically need to achieve here. Sharko will contest for a little bit longer, but he can fall back at a moment's notice as well.
Oh, trying to take the fight. Another opportunity for Bliss to get a pick, and it escapes them. But Fisher Guy
Pushes for it.
and recovers. Not the advantage, but at least maybe a bit of their momentum. But a minute left. Fisher Guy needs to open up these hatches, and they need to convert down to the bottom floor. No Twitch on the board, might I add. Those Vulcan packs, in all likelihood, still very much a factor on side of the site. We'll have to use Otis frag grenades to clear them out, get Fisher Guy in position. But again, all of that with only 50 seconds left, and BDS still holds server stairs. They can still contest that hatch. But Bliss have got a 3v3, and that might just be enough to make this competitive.
No, it was looking pretty grim after BDS found the first 2 picks, but Bliss have somehow brought it back. Now, there's still a lot that needs to be done, and not a lot of time to do it. 30 seconds to play.
The Vulcan packs, man. We got another 20 seconds lined up right here before Oda even pushes in. This is the right call from Bliss. Rotate around and try to go for the backstab.
Solotov is ready to receive. Oda's gonna have to go deep. We saw a player for just a second, but he loses the fight to Users. BDS once again in the advantage, and desperation for Bliss. They fall apart completely. BDS looking incredibly solid on bank, up 5-2 on Bliss's map pick, and not looking to slow down anytime soon.
Those Vulcan packs devastating against Bliss, and BDS showing that even though with this new roster they haven't played Bank since its formation, they're also well aware of what they need to keep an eye on in their setup. They've got the 2 Vulcan packs up front, but most importantly, in my opinion, the 1 Vulcan pack back by Elevator. In the 5v3, obviously, they can rotate back, they can play the advantage, but once Bliss go for the execute, and in my opinion, make the correct call, which is try to flank down Elevator, BDS knows that is the right call. They know that's how Bliss can get back in, so they pop that Vulcan pack 2, and Fisher Guys then gotta rotate and drop down red, where all of BDS have their guns trained.
You just look at the contrast between the way that BDS attack. They always have multiple solutions at dealing with the defensive problems. Like, you got Twitch drones to clear those Vulcan canisters, you've got Flores, you've got Gon 6s, grenades. Bliss realistically did not have enough to deal with that. And it meant that it came down to the end of the round, they'd finally brought numbers back, but there's simply too much utility on site, and Bliss were forced to go deep. That only works if you can win some gunfights, and they lost every single one. BDS up 5-2. It's just looking like such a challenge for Bliss to try and come back here. I think that BDS might have this map on lock, which is a real concern for the series. As Jesse said, Bliss have yet to win a single map so far in the BO3s of this tournament. And it might be the same case here as well. I mean, Clubhouse is a great map for BDS. They almost beat Furia on it. If we move there next with BDS getting a very convincing win here, then Bliss are going to be seriously on the ropes.
Yeah, with that, a close game against Furia on one of their best maps as BDS's main play that we think of Clubhouse in this, it's a daunting prospect for Bliss, to be certain. Especially losing the momentum after losing a map that you have basically, in my opinion, treated as old reliable. For a lot of these international events, you're thinking in the back of your mind, we beat FaZe on this. We beat the team that could have won the World Championship on this map 8-7. Look at how down we are. BDS just looking better at the moment in terms of individual skill, in terms of clearing. Now Bliss have to fight back. Win 5 rounds in a row if they want to close out in regulation. Dokkaebi call going out. That's a very good start. Sure, Users might not be dead, but 1 HP, anybody can cut him off right now very effectively. And Bliss also now pushing BDS back. A minute 15 seconds in, we're starting to see some retreat. Bliss just need to fill this control quickly because a minute 40 can turn into 40 quicker than you expect.
And we saw that last round, right? Bliss bled time and they ended up losing because they had about 20 seconds to execute. And while it is great that they managed to take control of that top floor and are finally repelling in, they still have to worry about C4s. The first one does miss. This guy going for a bit of a desperate spray through the floor, doesn't find anything. There's a lot of information here for the defense. Those Valkyrie cameras working wonders.
And not only is there a lot of intel for the defense, we see Brendo, we saw him sitting outside of stock. That position's been clear for about 40 to 50 seconds now, and he's been sitting outside waiting for it to be droned for the entire mid-round, and only just now has he realized it's clear and moved on with his life. Making sure nobody retakes it, sure, but Oda gets that first pick and then is immediately traded out. Bliss are starting to bleed time exactly like they did in round 7. Yuzu's, despite the low HP, getting that trade. He's still exploitable. Bliss can make this a 4v3 if they cut down that castle and elevator. The time's running out, and so my Bliss's chances at a man advantage.
These Valkyrie cameras are serving BDS so well. That's 2 kills now they've found on the back of that information in lobby. Brendo's now going deep. His brother does find one. That's Solotov, one of the big fraggers going down. Brendo's now looking to put some pressure on the side. He's opened up a line of sight as Sage hitting 11 kills. He's top fragging the server despite his team falling. It's just up to him and Wettables now. A very low HP user. He needs to go for this. Sage is rotating back for that diffuser. Wettables just waiting for his teammate to close in. But there might not be enough time for Bliss here. Wettables has to drop, and they have to find users. 1 HP, but the dream will never die. Sage in a 1v2. It's desperate, and he is given absolutely nothing by BDS. Map point for the French, and Bliss, once again, cannot convert.
That's where the nerves and the anxiety start creeping up on you and really costing rounds. Of course, the diffuser dropped on main stairs, and Bliss, once they get that 2v2, Yuzu's is still 1 HP, and more importantly, they've got important utility to make that winnable. The lifelines from Sage in particular. But because he has to go pick the diffuser back up, he doesn't have time to pick it up, rotate back, lifeline, get the intel, push on in. He just got to move forward. And then I think, unfortunately, this is a bit of a late tactical timeout for Bliss. They knew this map pick was important. They're comfortable on bank. And I understand you might think to yourself in that, you know, round 7 loss, okay, we just got outgunned in the early round, but it's 5-2 against BDS, who are looking very comfortable. I'm almost curious if this should have been called earlier.
Definitely, it's 6-2, right? The BDS have had a lead for a hell of a long time. Mingoran needs to talk to the team right now. I mean, BDS don't need the tactical timeout. They have been so comfortable this whole game long. It is Bliss's moment now to try and fire up. I don't know exactly what Mingo's saying, but I'm going to be honest. I saw the Bliss guys this morning and they looked very quiet. They didn't look like they were full of energy. And to be fair, a lot of these players are quite quiet people, but particularly Wettables and Oda, you expect a lot of energy out of them. And when they're winning games, even the quietest among them, even Fisher Guy, is jumping up and getting around it. And we haven't seen that for 2 days now for Bliss. They went up 2-0 in their first 2 matches and they took some pretty formidable opponents.
Beat M80 on this map.
M80, right here on bank. M80 since have qualified for the main stage and are looking like one of the better teams in the tournament as well. Bliss took them down right here. Now they're staring down a convincing defeat on their map pick in their last chance at staying alive in the major.
Sage certainly showing up 11-5 right now. We can give him a lot of credit for that, but if we're worried about the nerves from Bliss, it's definitely hitting the other 4 players, I think. Brendo, remember, outside of stock for a whole 50 seconds before that eventually gets re-cleared.
You know what's funny is
move forward.
Bliss are actually losing in a way to a lot of the things that they did on defense. Like we've got the, once again, Valk and Echo combo, and the Valkyrie was responsible for a lot of kills last round for BDS. Bliss haven't brought the IQ like we saw from BDS. They haven't even brought, oh, I guess they are bringing the Dokkaebi now, but if they are able to find an early kill, perhaps they can hack cameras and start to find some of those Valks, but it's a very tall order for them. They need to continue pushing, going deep. There's been too many minor mishaps for them that have led to such a punishing deficit in the rounds.
Ooh, a little bit of an unfortunate miss from Shaiko right there. Very common play to Rotero that, then impact trick it, get it outside the radius, but some of those new changes, those exact lineups don't exactly work anymore, so Shaiko misses, and thankfully he's a zombie, so he can probably hold on to stock a lot longer, or the stock hallway a lot longer than most in that same position. But still, that bit of security now gone. Drones moving inside of the site. CEO, a bit hard of a bomb site to defend, but not exactly a complex one, especially if you have these yokais to deny the plant on the site, which Bliss want to go for, bringing the Osa, having Fisher Guy with the diffuser. They want to move in through square in all likelihood, then put the diffuser down behind the main desk. When you have those Valkyrie cameras to also influence the roam, intel on both parts of this defense, half the round gone. BDS still holding on to every power position.
Yeah, but Bliss are really focusing on clearing this information gathering.
Which is fair.
It's what we talked about already and how powerful it's been. They were trying to hunt that yokai drone. I think a nade went through. I'm not certain about whether it destroyed it in the end, but they have spotted a lot of these Valk cameras as well, and we'll be able to take a lot of them out quite simply. it looks like the eventual plan here is to repel it with the Osa.
Yeah, they'll go for the repel. They'll try to fire off the janitor position and also any rotations from the right side that smoke the same angles. Here goes Fisher Guy.
There's a C4 planted already from below as well if Leakafat can get into position. Sage goes deep. Him and Oda both find kills. There should be information on the site thanks to those Valkyrie cameras, but still no plan tonight as of yet. Bliss have finally found their shining light as they jump back outside to hold in the post plant. Brede and users have a very tall task ahead of them. And all Bliss need to do is just wait on these repels.
It's completely unwinnable at this point. I mean, even with Oda on main lobby, it's wraps for BDS in this round. Really good plant by Bliss right there, especially the individual performance. He gets that kill. That's all great, but they've got the advantage. They've got the angles. They've got the round. Bliss, after the tactical timeout, go with that pre-planned Osa execute through the CEO windows and get their first round in quite a long time.
And a very convincing round at that. Much needed for Bliss. But is it going to be enough? They need 3 more in a row to push into overtime, and BDS have plenty of time to reset, including a tactical timeout of their own. It was such a good round, though, from Bliss.
It was,
That
absolutely.
was how Leakafat died. Because I thought Leakafat was going to be the one to play spoils there. He had a C4, he was down below, there was information on site. He had every way of just rotating underneath and using that Nitro to kill the planter, but Oda on that repel caught him out before he could do so.
Yeah, it's good foresight from Bliss, knowing that not only could you have the Valkyrie rotate through square, but also through main lobby. We'll say, given the lack of control that they had, if Licky was actually just there earlier, probably could have bled a lot more time out of Bliss, or maybe even got that C4 once the Osa went for the execute. So, not necessarily, hindsight 2020, but if Licky had rotated earlier, might have actually been a more problematic round for Bliss, even if they ended up winning it. Either way, BDS have the advantage of being up 6-2 before that round loss. They have the time to learn from those mistakes, make them in the first place. Go back down below. Try this site where the BDS got an early 5-3 lead. Bliss, generally speaking, unable to recover and unable to convert because the existing utility on the site not there. What I am most curious about, we've got the Goyo back on the board and we've got no Twitch, but also, even with the IQ, no nades.
Yeah.
Clear out those Vulcan packs.
This is very strange. You've got like 2 operators really dedicated to countering the information gathering, and the Dokkaebi and the IQ. Like, these are roam hunting operators. You don't have much clear operators to get rid of things like the Azamis, the Vulcan canisters, the Fenrirs. And that's going to make things hella difficult for Bliss. They do have some form of execute util in the Grim, but it's just nowhere near enough to deal with the setup that we have from BDS. The way that Bliss win this is they need to use the utility they do have, which is for roam clearing, to win this roam game. And that means killing Shaiko, not just forcing him back to side.
They honestly, I think a 5v4 will probably not even be enough. I think they need a full-on 5v3 here. Cutting down Licky Fack, cutting down Shaiko, anybody that tries to get aggressive.
Shaiko's so close to getting away safely, though, and he's the perfect operator for it as well with the Azami. Oda has not been able to cut him off. Weddable is coming around from the other side. If Oda can get into position, he might be able to cut off Shaiko before he's able to fall back down the hatch. And Shaiko's found a kill, a double! Fish and Sage drop to their deaths! It looks like Weddables will find maybe something. Bliss might be able to get an even numbers, but not if Leakafak survives. He does not! Big from Brendo, much needed from Bliss, but the 3v3 is so much less than what we thought they needed to win this round. A minute 20 left for them to shape up some kind of push to keep their hopes alive on Bank.
But they're just back in the same position they were previously. The Vulcan pack's in their way. I mean, they've got, I guess, more time to clear it out, but no good utility to do it. Also in that roam clear, of course, we have the double hatch drop that Shaiko eats alive, but Oda had one Dokkaebi call and he doesn't use it until immediately after the roam clear ends. Nobody had information going for that hatch drop. The Marble and the Printer players were just baiting the hatch drop players, honestly. Not necessarily for the stats, but that's what ended up happening. Now, 45 seconds left. You've still got the Vulcan packs. Maybe these Grimbies will be the shot they need, but they'll probably need to win this one on kills. I don't think going for a plan is a realistic thing to bet on.
If there's any time to be sharp and hit your shots, it's right now for Bliss. BDS just waiting. C4 here for users, but he's been so keen here with his SMG. He dodges that flash, and the second Oda goes in for it, but users is not missing any shots today. Brede finishes that off, and indeed it looks like BDS might be able to put Bliss down right here. Brendo in a 1v3 and he is given nothing by the French. They just wait. They know full well this game is theirs. Brendo's got no hope, no clue where these players are, and no diffuser to speak of. BDS are looking for redemption, and they are just one map away from a return to the main stage.
Bliss honestly looking a lot like ITB yesterday. The calling seemingly not entirely there. More importantly, the coordination not seeming entirely there. They either look tired, burnt out, but I think the word I'm thinking of is nervous. Absolutely, with BDS looking so hot. The Bliss we know that went up 2-0, that was able to beat FaZe on Bank 8-7, that Bliss was just not here right now. Not here today.
And they need to get back as soon as possible. Otherwise, they will be on the first flight home back to Australia. BDS are looking back in form, and I'm sure the guys on the desk will be able to break that down.
Thank you very much, Lynx and Dev. And yes, we're back. BDS victorious on their first map here on a Bank. Reminder, this was Bliss's pick where they started off on defense, but let's break things down and go through it. I'm Milosh, with me are Jesse and Laxing. Please, Jesse, walk us through it, because even your in-game mid-route call-in was quite important to highlight it, but we didn't get that change you requested.
No, we didn't, Milosh, and this is a really tough map to be losing if you're Bliss. We started off with Bliss on the defense, you know, and it started good. We got a couple of rounds going for them. They did win that first quarter, but after that, it was all downhill. I loved the utility play from LeakyFac. I thought his start to this game was really, really impactful. We saw those Twitch plays first, taking down the smoke to enable the plants on the very first round. I believe that was coming in from Solotov. And then we saw the Twitch continuing to be utilized well. Clear out the utility on the Kanto wall, have a big impact. I thought the Grim play from LeakyFac was also really, really strong to help enable a lot of those picks. So it really felt like BDS came through with a lot of good utility play in that first round. And in the second round, I said it in the call-in, I said they've got a lot of problems with the speed. Bliss needs to get their pacing on points, but it wasn't there.
Yeah, and then you look on the other side, the winners here of BDS, and you look at use this again. Again, he is ramped up at 100% cost. That means he did everything right in this round, in this game. He was playing it perfectly, and that goes into what I was saying. He is ramping up. Obviously, the rest of the team doing really well, but use this specifically. Again, I talked about him. He started off in the EUL, #1. He started going up and down, up and down. Now he's finding his stride, and he is still going up, ending 13-3. In the first map, and now you're going to map 2 again. This goes back to Bliss. Obviously, this kind of reminds me of the Secret game. They started out very weak, but they did push it really close to Secret. But I have to see the success going forward. And again, here are those stats. Once again, we're looking at Yeezus. He's making me say Yeezus. He is the player to keep watching on this roster. You know, typically we're talking about Shaiko. Typically we're talking about LeakyFac. No, it is Yeezus across the board for BDS.
Users specifically on those defenses, I thought late round was super clutch.
Yep.
Whether it was finding important picks late inside the bomb site or just staying alive sometimes. 1 HP on that open area defense, hiding so that they could win the round on time. I think it's very clear if BDS understood the assignment. They had to stall out Bliss, and Users was able to do that while also getting all those kills. That's why he's at 100% cost.
I'm pretty impressed, because that first round from BDS looked a bit, shaky. The first 3 rounds were kind of like, okay, you won 1, you lost 2, but actually the one that you won was based on a lot of things going right.
I think a lot of that in those beginning rounds is just initially feeling out the other team. What are they trying to do? And as you saw that, BDS just started to ramp up and truly understand how they wanted to approach.
All right, thank you very much. That was Bank, though. We'll see if we can recover here with BDS, or will it be a 2-0? That's on Clubhouse after the break. Welcome back, everybody, to the Blast R6 Major Manchester. We continue on between Bliss and BDS, and look at what we got. BDS are up 1-0, and it's all on Bliss. Should they lose this next map on Clubhouse, it is over. You get on that first plane back to Aussie land. You gotta make it count right now, Jesse.
This is the best Bliss have ever looked at a major, but they're also on a 5-game losing streak right now. 5 maps in a row. They've yet to claw back even one since the first day of Swiss. They have been spiraling. We need to see that change right now, or it's going to be a 6-game losing streak and they go home.
The nice thing about this not being Bank and not a huge map, it is Clubhouse. Sure, this is one of BDS's strongest maps, but it is a small map, so you are forced to work together with your teammates. So hopefully we can actually see them work together and not being scattered and taking 1v1s around the map.
Yeah, I will also say it's good map for them domestically, 3-0 in Australia this season, but of course internationally they've yet to play it, so we don't really know how they are against top-level teams.
Yeah, and if there is a team that is top level in Clubhouse, it is BDS and their performance over the past, well, few years, regardless of the roster that this team has fielded. But Uses was on fire, so was Likefak and Solotov. However, it seems like Bride and Shaiko were kind of silent on map 1.
Shaiko brought it back that last round. The 2K on the hatch drop was really impressive from him. And, you know, Bride is Bride. He doesn't have to be the guy who's popping off and finding all the kills. But it's okay. This new structure of BDS doesn't need to rely fully on Shaiko like they did in the past. This version of BDS is more flexible, and they're using that to their advantage.
Absolutely. It just goes to show. That's the whole reason of a 5-man roster is you can have 2 people not perform well if you're having 3 people perform extremely well.
Everybody's on the team here and activated. We'll see if Bliss can fight back and take it to Oregon. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll toss it to Dev, Marta, and Lynx.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it could be the end of the line for the Aussies here, but BDS have proven that it's not all sunshine and rainbows at this tournament for them so far. Certainly not compared to what we thought after the EU League, but it is a tall order for Bliss to get back onto that horse. BDS are looking arguably the best we've seen so far at the Major here in this game.
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, when you get such a dominant result like a 7-3 on your opponent's pick, and Shaiko basically doesn't even need to be a factor in how you're winning that game. I mean, to be fair, they just rely on the other 3-star players to get the job done, but it still shows how well BDS are looking going into Clubhouse.
This was always going to be a David and Goliath matchup. BDS, world favorites for the competition and former major champions themselves, up against the humble Australians. But after the runs these teams have had at this tournament, we thought it was going to be a close game. We are yet to see that. Bliss need to bliss up right now, or they will be on the next plane home tomorrow.
It'd be such a shame as well, going up 2-0. Both Bleed and Bliss going up 2-0. We thought that both these teams who seem to have promised so much going into this new season, incrementally improving, for even one to go home would be a disappointment, but potentially both, if Bliss lose this next map, would be tough. As the operator ban phase starts, Dev, color me shocked. Monty, Dokkaebi taken off.
Yeah, Dokkaebi, we didn't see a huge amount of usage of from BDS last map. I just think BDS was so good at whatever tool they decided to bring. There was 1 or 2 rounds where they decided it was going to be 0, 1 or 2 rounds where it was IQ. They always made good use of it. Here on Clubhouse, though, the Dokkaebi, I think, can have a big impact on that roam clear. I think it's good to get that out. But interestingly, with Dokkaebi and Monty ban, it does leave Ying on the board, and we very rarely see Ying slip through. I actually don't think Ying has been in for a single game I have casted so far at this event. I don't remember any Ying play, and Ying can be insanely good on Clubhouse for these executes. Both teams need to maximize their leverage of that operator.
Absolutely, and another operator I think that teams should maximize their leverage of is that Grim. Unbanned, as opposed to BDS's previous outing on Clubhouse, and we saw how good their Grim usage was on Bank. To have that operator available for the executes, especially on a site like Church and Arsenal, could be problematic. Same can be said for the Ying, like you mentioned, the Capital, the Grim, any of those execute operators, BDS were excellent with.
Well, if there's anything going for Bliss here, they start on defense. It did happen on Bank, but Bank...
So how was that on Bank?
Yeah. Bank attack, BDS absolutely loved it. 4-2 split. Bliss on defense here on Clubhouse. They should have a little bit more success. The thing is, Bliss haven't been tested on Clubhouse internationally for quite some time. That was a great map for them in the OS League. They had some really convincing wins. The grand final, they won at 7-5 over Man Esports. They beat a team called 6 Targets. They beat Kelton's Knights. But the biggest loss in recent history was actually at SI to Wolves. Of course, they beat Wolves, another French team. Bliss, by the way, have a bit of a history with French teams. This is the first time playing BDS, but every event so far they've come to, except for this one, they have played Wolves. They lost that 7-2. It was the only map in the series that they lost. So Bliss really need to hope that they've worked on things in the last 3 months to get this map up to scratch to play BDS.
Ooh, Wetables. Well, not ready for that one.
That's cheeky. I quite like that from BDS. Like, they were fully aware of that play, and they had a way to not only counter it so that it wasn't going to lose their own life, but to get in and actually find a pick based off of it. That's really on the front foot stuff from BDS.
They've actually got 2 operators that you can kind of do that kind of play with. The Sledge obviously being the classic one, but even throwing the Boogie Drone through the door and doing that same thing, you're not really going to do that here. Instead, you're going to use that ram to open up the vertical holes inside, or I suppose on top of the Church Arsenal bomb sites. Got the Sledge as a backup option too, so plenty of utility to open up these vertical angles. You got the Hibana for the hard breaching as well with those EMPs. BDS with the utility, basically just to play out this mid-round, opening up whatever they want.
Yeah, BDS have been so on the ball today. This looks so organized. I have such a clear idea of what they want to achieve. Map control achieved quite... What? Shots to the toe. Brendo barely exposed himself, but Shaiko, that high damage para 308, minces through him so quickly. Bliss already succeeding 2 picks halfway through the round.
This is a bad time for Shaiko to start heating up.
He got, what, 2 or 3 kills on the first map?
Yeah, not to state the obvious, but he's already pretty much matching his kill count from Bank, and he's single-handedly established a 5v3 for his team. Now you've got Solotov retaking the normal position he likes to push. He very much enjoys going from Oil Pit, pushing up blue, and he often will just go for a 1-for-1 in this position. With the 5v3 established, he's got some freedom to do that. Intel on one of the players playing around AKs too. He can just wait here though, because BDS still have a minute to go with the rest of their clear.
Yeah, this is BDS's map to lose for sure. Oh, I was going to say round to lose, but I guess it probably is their map to lose, to be honest. Yeah, from this point forward, like we said that Bliss needed to win Bank, they didn't. The Fish guys found Leakafak, who fired up on the first map. Something serious. Oda, he needs to find this kill here in Dirt. He does light up Solotov quite significantly. Bride's taken a lot of damage to the gas, but can look to force down that plant. Oda's found his good smoke from Fisho, but actually no! It somehow is short or too deep. Regardless, Shaiko finds the 3-piece. BDS looking very strong in the opening round of Clubhouse, on the attack no less.
Bliss looking shaky again, too. Wetables caught immediately on that quick play up Oil Pit. Shaiko then finding another. Brendo unaware of somebody on that hatch. Shaiko catching him off guard very, very nicely. Then with all that considered, with Solotov going down in blue, Lickifat going down earlier, if those smokes land and you force Bride off, that's a 3vx from Bliss. They can come back from that. And not only does one go long, but both do. When you need every round you can get as Bliss, that's a bad time to make mistakes.
I love that first pick, though. Like, that's so smart. They knew exactly what Wetables was doing. It goes to speak volumes about how much good prep work that BDS had done here. They know exactly how Bliss wants to play this map. They're always seemingly 2-3 steps ahead of the curve.
10 seconds remaining.
The foresight definitely strong for BDS today. That much we can be absolutely certain about. Carrying through also onto Clubhouse with the same strengths we saw from them on Bank. Now attacking CCTV, another site that will really favor the more well-coordinated team. Shaiko not actually continuing with the Capital pick, instead going to Flores. Talk about Shaiko's expanding operator pool over the years.
Yeah, he's not the Hibana Ashman he used to be.
No, he plays Nomad now. He's even playing Capital and Flores. Now, to be fair, what's kind of the, aside from Capital, what's the theme with a lot of the operators that he plays? You use your utility early on, then you can just use your gun for the rest of the round. So Flores making sense for his position and also with important utility. There goes at least one of those bandit batteries, and only one.
Still pretty good value there. Good information. Leakafak's found Mitch. What is going on here for Bliss? That's 2 rounds in a row. Very early picks. BDS well and truly in control of this game, and it almost never looks otherwise.
Somewhat actually confused at how Sage died because it's Wetables playing Raptors right now. Normally you want that Azami on top Raptors because she can hold that position for a lot longer. It's the same reason you might put a Doc there. He can stim himself back up, but instead Sage is found by, I think, Lickifak by main door.
Yeah, through lounge somehow.
I mean, I get why the Legion's there. Of course, he's meant to counter the Monty, but as we can see, there's no Monty in the cards.
Yeah, it's the player you want to take down as well. Azami, with those regenerating keeper barriers, you want to take him down early, and he doesn't have access to them in the late round. Also Sage, who was by far and away the best player. Oh! This could be round determining, though. If BDS gets finished off, and he is, that's very well played from Bliss. They got aggressive there onto the Maverick, and now that wall is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for BDS to open. They have to pivot, but they waste no time doing so. It's Users getting the flashes onto Wedables. Leakafak goes straight in on it, looking for a second now onto Brendo. It's been beautiful from BDS, but Bliss are not done yet.
Fisher Guy effectively with a double there as his previous kill was finished off by the smoke, but Leakafak increasing the pace, speeding up the music, has got 3 kills in round 2, 4 kills in round 2. Oda needs to be on for 3 if Bliss want 1 on the board.
They want it, but not just that, they need it. This is the side where they should be having success. A 4-2 split is what Bliss wanted. Solotov closes the round. BDS on fire today. Leakafak with the 4K, and the French taking no prisoners. The Aussies look defeated already.
This is the form we thought BDS could be in going into this major. It's taken a lot of time to heat up. But even though they go down 3-3 and Fisher Guy basically almost entirely shuts down the play around CCTV in the breach, Leakafak and Yuzus both coordinating extremely well to flash up the moment they start facing obstacles, and then Leakafak runs up the stairs in tandem. That's the kind of coordination that's basically put together on the fly that wins tournaments.
It's ambitious there to contest as a defender onto that angle. And Bliss want to have confidence. They want to have... They want to be able to just push for it. Like, they don't want to sit back and think, oh, we're playing against Psycho, we can't peek. No, they want to have confidence and go for these peaks. But at the same time, like, if you're a little bit too ambitious, then you're going to lose your life. I don't know how Sage died so early, because that's 2 rounds in a row that Bliss have just lost the first pick for nothing.
Yeah, and that's what we saw with Leakafak sitting around main door, catches the Azami with her back turned. Really unfortunate stuff from Bliss right there. I think also betting that BDS would bring that Monty and not paying off, putting the Legion there. We at least see the Azami here now, but this is a Church Arsenal defense, by the way. This is not Jim, not CCTV, a very, very heavy extended hold. And Dev, you remember how good BDS were clearing out solo roamers spread across the map last time? I don't care if you've got to keep a barricade here. You're giving BDS what they were good at on bank.
The only thing that's different now is that Dokkaebi has been banned out. Bliss also, they love these Solus bans. It allows them to have a little bit of freedom on their attack, but it does mean there's so much more info gathering ability for the attacking side. What an angle from Leakafak. Wedables taken down early. That's 3 for 3 rounds now that BDS have found that numbers advantage at very little cost in the first minute of the round.
Very little cost indeed. I mean, that's a default angle to take, just checking for that spawn peek through the single wall. That's something you would do anyway, even if you didn't have intel there. Yeah, cuts off the rotation exactly through construction. That's just a very normal play, and now BDS, they can start focusing on that Azami. Solotov betting that Brendo does not have intel in his position, but no, he drops down Oil Pit instead. That's where the Legion pick can be problematic. There's the sound cue, and Brendo hears it. Yep, he does. Look at him turn around.
But Shaiko's got the read here. That's a thing for BDS. Like, they've got so much information. There's so much of an inkling. Brendo coming down. He might be able to find the pick. There is info for him, and he does convert that. A second kill likely to come through. Leakafak pushing for this refrag. His position not revealed as of yet. He does get droned as Brendo. Sage now able to support thanks to the smoke subsiding. A good flash. Brendo might be able to protect himself. Oh, a flashbang bounces back thanks to the Kiba barrier. Bliss might have something here, especially as Solotov's gone down. This roam game looking quite effective, but Sage has gone down, and that does leave Brendo all alone, caught between a rock and a hard place.
But now the advantage of staying up here actually starts to be realized for Bliss. Brendo just dodging those shots, but lands them in turn. One more on the stairs. Shaiko might get the comeback, but Bliss have done enough to make this a workable situation for Fisher Guy and Oda, especially with that C4 to cut off any entrance from blue, and only the flashbangs to allow BDS entry into sight. The player who also would cover him on the plant on 1 HP, Shaiko solo to death. If there was ever a time for Bliss to get there first, it's right here in round 3.
If Bliss don't get this round, I don't know what to say. They need this so badly. They brought it back despite losing the first kill.
The goo mine.
Goo mines, unfortunately for Shaiko, the IQ doesn't track them anymore. But Oda lands his kill. Information now on Bride's position. This Legion worth its weight in gold. Bride has to be the clutch king he was fabled to be, but not gonna happen today. Good lockout, sighs of relief on Bliss's faces as they finally get their first round of defense on Clubhouse.
Mingo certainly loud, but the rest of the team still very quiet, even after that win against BDS. Brendo, really, I should say, I was very worried about his position. Very worried about his position early on in the round, but it ends up paying off. Leaky Fact trying to go there, and that Kiba barricade you pointed out, blocking that second flash, forcing Leaky Fact back a little bit. I think that really saves it for Brendo right there because he's concerned afterwards. The player pushing up bottom red isn't exactly in position and gives Brendo a huge individual moment to bring that round over the line for Bliss early on. Well, actually, not even early on, later on in the round.
Yeah. Brendo won that round for Bliss for sure. Look at Wettables in the middle. He's looking pretty pissed with himself, even after winning that round. Yet to find a kill. You did, I can't remember if we talked about this on stream yet, but we talked about it off stream, but Wettables was, he's one of the main voices of this squad. Like, Fisho guy is the brains, but Wet, despite being the newest player on this roster, he's also the least experienced. He has brought so much voice to this team. And when you see him looking glum, looking a bit tied up, that's a huge concern.
Yeah, and when I was just going over to the bathroom during the break, I heard him talking about some of the things that he felt, was problematic for Bliss on Bank, and one of the big ones was communication. People asking for stuff, not getting what they needed, people off by themselves in positions, either calling or not calling for support. It's definitely something that we need to see improve from Bliss, but I also think when you have 2 times now, Wettables picked off very early on in positions either read easily by BDS or just caught off and looking very silly, whether he intended to or not in round 3, it's understandable why you start getting frustrated.
Yeah. It's really on Wet. It's on Wet to bounce back from, I know what it's like. When you're playing and like no one's listening to you or whatever it is, you need to take that responsibility to get your head back into the game. And I know Wet's pretty good at that, but we need to see a little bit more from him. And I'm sure that the fact that he hasn't found a kill, he's been the first pick twice, is a bit of a frustrating factor for him. But BDS, they look to not slow down. They've lost their first round, but already on the entry, Solotov putting some pressure here on this clear.
They're gonna be able to use that Selma to open up either of these reinforcements, though. There are some head holes made in the wall, shots sailing by his head. One player on red and Cash, now one player in Cash and Khan. The slow rotations back from Bliss. Wettables in a spot right here to go huge if he can, but Shaiko cutting down Brendo early on. Wettables is now officially trapped.
Doesn't find his kill as well. That should have been a pick on to use this, and he gets traded on back from Solotov. Good work from BDS as they've pushed all the remaining Bliss players back into the site and found a 2-player advantage as well with half the round still to play.
And look at how strong that communication is from BDS. They want to push Cash. They have Solotov up front. They've got some guy on the breach. And what do they call? Shaiko, we need you to go con window. And not only does he find a kill for his troubles, he cuts off Wettables' rotation back to the site. So the Fenrir's got to go big, got to make a play. And unfortunately, another time, Wettables ending the round without a kill. Something that I imagine will only continue to build that frustration in the mind of him as he moves forth with the game. In the final minute, Dev, we have a 5v3. BDS clearing the util, opening up Jacuzzi. Gonna need somebody to go huge if Bliss have a shot.
Yeah, piece by piece, Fisherguy's position is forced back, peeled away at the utility he has set up. Deployable shield, gone. His army's keeper barrier, gone. Now he plays that mirror in logistic, but it does mean there's so much ability for BDS to take control of the site, to inch their way forwards.
Especially with this Grim, the Bees can find the intel on anybody in these power positions, especially behind that Mira. So effectively, you have the advantage behind it. Once you swing, you can pre-fire. If the Bees are right there, especially if Bride goes for this drop, BDS can get that kill.
Sage has to have an impact here, protecting his teammate. He finds the first one. Numbers are even once again.
Oh!
Sage, caught out. Switching off the watch. Fishguy has to land the pre-fire, but he doesn't get it. And BDS, a great conversion there. Looked sketchy for a brief moment. They continue to push. They will not give up until this game is done and dusted.
Another nervous decision that gives a timing to BDS. Sage shuts down Bride, and that was the man with the diffuser. They've got it trapped in Logi, and he's got the next 1v1 coming up. There's nobody to trade out that guy pushing logistics from Khan. And he switches off the glasses. Was there a reason to do it? Not really. You can either blind the flashes, or if you're moving, get blinded, but if you turn them off, makes your position worse. It's not necessarily an inherently bad idea, but what it does is it gives that player pushing, I believe, Solotov the opening to get that kill. Another tilting moment, unfortunately, for Bliss when they're already trying to recover the mental.
Bit of a siege timing moment, but it is what it is.
Unlucky, certainly.
Oh, look at Weddable's face. His reaction when he's losing rounds. This is concerning. I mean, the guys talked about it on the desk, like Weddable, they kind of made a bit of a joke, to be honest. Like, it wasn't considered like Shaiko versus Weddable, who's the greatest ever to do it. Obviously, Shaiko is in conversation for one of the greatest players of all time. Wedables is a great player, but he's obviously not in that conversation. He's quite a new player to this level of Siege. He was only picked up just before the Atlanta Major when Jigsaw left to join the, at the time, Koi roster, now Fnatic. And Wedables has been phenomenal in this tournament so far. He's been fragging out, but that's not his job. Like, him and Shaiko are not comparable. Wedables is a support player. In fact, one thing that makes Bliss quite unique, even within the OS region, is that they don't really have many clearly defined, this is like our star fragger. Brendo's the only one that fits into a more conventional star fragger, and he's right now playing Mirror. The rest of this team are all very much able to flex onto these different roles. They kind of have 4 IGLs on this roster, and that is one of their best facets, but it does mean that if a player like Wedables starts to lose his voice, it can be very concerning.
Especially as we see communication, one of those big issues, and I think the other big issue they have is not something with their own system, it's that BDS have come to play.
That's 5 opening picks in a row, man.
5 opening picks in a row. Bride also now officially really the only guy whose performance hasn't really been there, but as we know, Bride doesn't really need to get kills. Liquifax, Solotov, and Yuzus were there on map 1. Yuzus has dropped off, and guess who's taken his place? Well, one of the greatest players to ever do it. Shaiko 7-2, Liquifax 7-2. Well, Shaiko now 7-3 as Brendo, that very player you talked about that we saw put this mirror window up on the cash wall, able to cut him down, get that 4v4. It is a CCTV and cash defense, as you can see. The users are moving a very powerful piece of utility. A very necessary position.
Yeah, mirror window being down does make things difficult. Now, Brendo can still play this. He just has to be very careful. It does make things a bit awkward for the player contesting, as is Solotov here, because he's got to worry about peeking through the mirror. He's got to worry about peeking either side of that mirror as well. There's a mirror on this main wall too. Bride can smash the glass, but still not able to get a breach on this wall as of yet.
You see one frag grenade go out, caught by the magnet, left up on the cash window, but Fisher guy missing a fight. He had dead to rights. Weddable is a key run out though. Like that aggression. The mental, I think, recovering a little bit. That's a risky play to make, but Weddable's with the confidence, it pays off completely.
Desperate now for BDS, but they find the numbers once again. Good trade. No! Missed opportunity for Sage. He needs to find this next one, but he looks away at the wrong time. A good C4, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Liquifax is low HP, but the same can be said for both of these remaining Blitz players. Wedables needs to stand up now. He is in the power position. He's on that Azami. BDS have gone into sight. Yuzus is pushing for more. He's hungry for it. He wants to play on the main stage in front of his home crowd. He finds both! BDS looking untouchable. The French have fired up once again. Europe is here to stay.
Yuzus is doing what he does best. Might only have been 2-2, but that's not because he's underperforming. He just hasn't found a reason to show up. But in that 2v2, he does. Moves in the breach. It's Liquifax with the diffuser, but on 1 HP, he's nervous to move into the site. Understandably so. So Yuzus finds the ever tiniest of gaps with 1 player in red and 1 player in server, but on the other side, playing it safe. He's able to progress on in, but 5 rounds in a row now. BDS have this advantage. They can lose bodies, they can make mistakes, they can even die to nice individual plays from Wedables right there, but they always have this buffer, they always have this gap, and they are making it so Bliss are always fighting from behind.
(4-1). This is even worse than what we saw on Bank in a way. Carter, Bliss got 2 rounds of defense in that half, and now they're looking very rough. I don't even think they're going to be able to find a second here. They're going to go back down to the basement. BDS's attacks onto this bomb site have been nigh untouchable. I'm not sure what BDS need to do here other than just continue playing how they know they play best. A roam clear on the cards. Dokkaebi it's been banned out instead. The Jackal. Now, Bliss, the only round they've won so far this game, Carter. It was on this bomb site, and it was thanks to Brendo having such an incredible roam. He needs to deliver once again here.
Got to. Whether it's him or Wedables, this offside play being the only thing Bliss have to cling to at the moment. It's got to work. It's a bit different right now, as you can see. They're not going with the Azami play, instead breach denial early on, forcing not just one, but 2 EMPs actually out of BDS very early on. They've got no backups, and they've still got this Cade on the board, so Sage could rotate down, but he's caught by Solotov with an Electroclaw in pocket. So that's one hatch that now ends up being unelectrified that BDS can go for. Oda now on this roam. Remember how good they've been at pinching players once they found the intel in their position. They could find him, but instead it's Brendo to fall.
And another one bites the dust. Bliss looking completely dismantled here. Desperate times call for desperate measures, but every single play they seem to make is read to perfection by BDS. The French are ready for everything. Oda, hello?
Oda!
I think he saw him, but didn't land the shot just in time. Didn't have the reaction time. Now he'll look for a flank. He could potentially find 2 here. He finds the first one, and he can get back towards the side, but it is Oda versus the world. BDS have been even better here on map 2 than we saw on Bank. A down is something onto Solotov, but BDS have so much time to shape up.
So much time to shape, and Lickyfax still has 2 scans with the Inox. If they can just look around and find footprints in the final minute, they can get his exact position figured out. Once they push into the site, that makes it a whole heck of a lot easier.
Patience is all that's needed now for BDS. They could, in theory, just play this like it's a normal 4v4.
Yeah.
Go for all the hatches, play slow and steady. I think Oda is trying to bait. He does get audio of the player above him. Impact to go out, but it doesn't find Solotov. His position revealed, and down from blue stairs, Users finishes him off. A devastating blow to Bliss. 5-1 in the half for BDS.
They even read that he's baiting the down guy. They even read that play. That's ridiculous. But it's the side swap. It's 5-1. We've got Jesse and Gabe on the line. A couple information. Boys, before you begin, it's not looking good for Bliss, is it?
It's definitely not looking good, but we want to talk about the ban specifically here. I want to talk about the Solus and the Dokkaebi ban. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me because Dokkaebi and Solus aren't a make or break for this map, and especially when you have Valk and all this utility up. You could have banned a Mav, you could be using a Valk, and they use it towards the very end, and in the end, it didn't really matter when they could have just been using it to begin to figure out what they needed to do.
Yeah, and of course, the operator we expected Bliss to ban in this game would have been Ying. Bliss haven't played Ying a single time through this entire tournament, and they've banned her on almost every single game coming into today. So it's obviously the operator that we were expecting to see Bliss ban. It's the operator BDS we're expecting Bliss to ban. What that signals to me is that Ying is Bliss's last chance. It's their Hail Mary to save their tournament. I'm hoping we see some Ying out of them throughout this half. If they're gonna claw back this 5-1, it has to be off the backs of some Ying picks.
Well, Jesse, I hate to burst your bubble, but the attacker repick phase has just ended. They've not picked Ying. I think his advice is sound, by the way. I think bringing that execute operator, especially with the Grim on the board too, or Capitao, I think any of those options, the Ying being, I think, the highest profile would have been good. And Bliss have just gone for double breach, vertical destruction, IQ to find that intel dev, but nothing to really help that execute.
Yeah, my main concern for Bliss is that they don't have any Grim or Ying for the execute, Capitao even, but they also don't have anything realistically to deal with the Azami's Keeper barriers, which can be so difficult to clear on site. Looks like Lickyfax actually roaming with them, which might make things a little bit easier for Bliss. If they are able to get to an execute, they won't have to deal with Keepers on site, but it means they'll have to deal with the roam. Dokkaebi's banned, and they don't really have many roam counter utility. They're going to have to trust in their drone work and trust in their execute onto Solotov upstairs here. He's looking pretty hot, but he does get found. Good start there for Bliss. For the first time, they have the opening pick and a second one to boot.
Now they pinch out one roamer, and Oda just wins the straight-up fight with another. Bliss, the 5v3, the first time. Not only do they have any advantage whatsoever, but even their first time on the attack, they get a 5v3, make that a 5v2 as Wedables on the cutoff.
Very aggressive defense from BDS, and it is being punished. Now Bliss, all they have to do is convert. Good flash. Does force Users back down again. It's just about consolidating the advantage. Now, Users has been discovered. He should be a free kill. Bliss just don't need to overcomplicate this. A minute 30 left to go. And they are being diligent here, which is great. Users is going for a big rotation. He's reloaded his pistol, ready to make himself a way back in. Both of these defenders are looking to support here in dirt. It looks like Users will get back to site potentially, but this is a bit embarrassing. Somehow Brendo goes down. Wedables didn't look to push for that kill. Surely not. Like, surely not. Here we go. Oda's found one. Users might have gone back to side, but he won't survive for long. BDS should be exposed now. It's a 4v1 for Bliss, and they really should win this round.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, the flashbang going into Moto, they're hitting the opposite site that they know Bride is, because they would have heard him inside of dirt, opening things up. Gets the first kill, though, works his way on in, but Sage there on the cutoff. I was hoping to see the energy after this. I mean, that was...
Yeah, you need that. Well, a bit of a laugh from Fish and from Brendo, but again, Wedables looking dead serious after
Brendo
that
too.
one. Well, he had a bit of a smile on his dial when they won the round. Have you looked at Wedables' eyes before?
They're piercing.
They are amazing. This guy has the most piercing eyes I've
Can we
ever
just hold
seen.
a shot on Wedables, actually? Can we just...
I would love to just look deeply into Wedables'
No, get
eyes.
back on camera. Get back on camera. Look at that. Look at that. He does have some very distinctive eyes. They are very pretty. They're almost not even hazel. They're like straight up like bright gray.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to describe him. Mesmerizing. We saw Kangaroo Kenny walk up and eat a banana in front of M80 as an intimidation tactic. I reckon Wedables should just walk up and stare deeply and piercingly into BDS's eyes before the match.
Wedables has those kind of eyes that, like, if somebody in the Middle Ages had, like, seen them, they would have thought he was some, like,
He was a seer.
shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could see into the future.
Yeah, could, you know, tell mystical portents or things like that.
Even in these replays, like, Wedables has not looked like himself in this match today. I don't know what's going on.
Think about the guy that when you and I, when it was still all quiet in the studio, I don't think we'd even I don't know if we had done tech checks yet.
Yeah.
We go over and talk to Wedables. He's showing us his bag of props. He's got the minions,
True.
he's got
Yeah,
the
he
top
looks
hat.
pretty...
He wasn't looking
He's all for it.
excited, but exactly, he was smiles. He was looking, you know, somewhat content with the day, and now here, it's shaking his head, he's down on himself, and, you know, it's understandable why he's not having the best performance, but that player we saw that seemed like there was some energy and kind of excitement there. Certainly not here in the game, definitely the whole team overall. And unfortunately, Sage was the big performer on the previous map. He's fallen off, and Oda has risen up.
The thing about Bliss is, like, they don't really have, like, a star player that you want to see going 10+ kills, and if that's not happening, then they're going to lose. They're a team with, like, quite a well-rounded roster, and anyone can pop off. It's just a matter of having their system in place that they've got the comms.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for, that we see all of these players start to get involved. Not just one guy getting those kills, whether it's Sage and Oda, but they all start having impact. Solotov, we saw with a Valk camera on this position, trying to get the long angle up into rafters, but that player's already passed. Already made his way to the CCTV window. Now hunting down these players off-site. Oda does find Licky Fact. That's not even the guy who was rafters. He finds a completely different person, but Yuzu's good with the trade.
There's another one coming forward as well, though. Wedables on the other side. The player that's been the talk of the town, he finds his pick and looks for a little bit more as well. BDS, though, not going to let up just yet. A big pick running straight through that E1D. Shaiko does get back to site safely. Solotov is still on for this roam. He's not able to climb the ladder because of this Claymore, and there's no realistic way to shoot it. If he thinks he's safe, he could try and C4 it. That would make a hell of a lot of noise and likely telegraph his position. A jump out from Shaiko and almost a kill onto Brendo as well. BDS are so dangerous even when backed up into a corner.
But Bliss have at least made them fight from behind, though. They made them recover that advantage and rely on big individual decisions or plays made by Shaiko, as we can see. They're in the driver's seat in a way we honestly haven't seen for any of the maps up until this point, up until the last round of this one. Brendo on the cutoff. But remember, Solotov is still a factor. But if he stays down below and doesn't rotate, it's a 3v2 on site, and Bliss are getting dangerously close to an entry once these breaches open and the power positions are cleared.
Wet's got an idea, but he misses his shot. Big cross from Shaiko. Does mean that Bliss have an idea of where one player is. Brendo, I think that, what was that? He's gone down somehow. And Sage, oh, he finds one! Looking for a second, but Bride comes back for it. Wedables 1v2. Solotov's low. And both of these players are separated. They look to try and maintain some form of crossfire. And they do just that. 5-1 in the first half, and now just one round away from the main stage. BDS, they're on the path to redemption, and they are mere steps away.
Oh, that was the path to redemption for Bliss right there. Sage had the golden opportunity. They both line up for him, but he's only able to get one. He does that. Maybe they close out the 2v1 with how BDS are performing individually. That 1v2 might be good, but again, a very late tactical timeout. I will say...
Match point tactical timeout, 2 maps in a row.
I will say, at least for Mingo, you know, he had a really good attack previously, so it's not like there was some massive strategic failing that needed to be solved immediately, but as you said, with how low the mental's been, maybe the match point timeout, 2 maps in a row, maybe you could have afforded to go the 5-1, try to build that energy going into the next half. It's a bit less weird here than it was on map 1, but it still feels like it's too little too late, especially with how weak that defensive half was. Only 1 round for Bliss early on. All BDS have to do is just have 1-star player pop off. A Licky Fact 3K or 4K like we saw earlier, a Shaiko double kill or anything like that. Even though it was a good clear from Bliss Dev, BDS just need one of their 4 players showing up to show up.
Good round. Good pitches.
One more round for BDS, and they'll be back on the main stage. It feels like quite some time. Atlanta, they
6
had...
months.
Yeah, well, it's been, since last major. Snubbed of SI. They really wanted to make it to that 6 Invitational, and yet they just didn't get enough points because they failed to make Copenhagen a year ago. And Bliss expected so much more than this. 7-3 on their map pick against them. Not a great look. Moving into the second map, they've struggled to even find 3 rounds so far. The 2 they found have not been the most convincing. A long road ahead for the Aussies, but BDS inching closer and closer to getting back to where they want to be.
And just one excellent performance from one of these players on BDS. Shaiko 10-6, but all of the most hyped players on this roster dropping at least 7 kills. If there was ever a time for BDS, who have so far looked shaky, lost the game to Talon, could have lost that game to KAG, they might not even be in this matchup. Had 1 or 2 rounds gone KAG's way yesterday. A horrible time for this to happen, and a horrible time to lose one of your hard breaching, your exothermic, to an Electroclaw trick. Just brutal stuff as Bliss try to just begin the roam clear.
It's been hard to do so. Not the breaches that they've been looking for. A minute passed and they've struggled to really get an inkling into the map. No boots in the building as of yet. No kills. Leakafak, hell of a lot of damage done onto Sage there. He looks to be able to get away with his life as well. This roam has not been dealt with effectively at all from Bliss.
Loading new mag.
Not at all. Not at all. Just a couple shots. Solotov now cuts down Oda. Hate to feel like the energy in the whole warehouse is being brought down. It's been a slow, quiet death for Bliss. Intermittent moments here or there. Round 7 of the attack looking good, but just intermittent engagements. BDS winning them. Oda and Fisher Guy now down. Your hard breaching dealt with. Sage on 1 HP. Hate to call it a minute, 15 seconds in advance, but BDS, disciplined as they are, holding down the site now. I think it might be Bliss going home.
.3v5. Not a lot of pieces to work with. Sage still such low HP. And he's walking straight into the waiting arms of Brede. Shotgun in hand.
The coup de grace.
Who finds it? It's an easy open and shut case. 2 versus 5 now. Wettables has got to fire up. It could be too late for Bliss. Brendo looking for something, moving down the blue stairs. Oh, shut down by Shaiko. Snubbed of Sao Paulo, but back with a vengeance in Manchester. BDS break Bliss's back and make it to the main stage, a return worthy of former champions.
7-3, 7-2. To restate your claim as one of the biggest threats at the major. Excellent win for BDS. But unfortunately for Bliss, you know, we expected BDS to be on the main stage, unfortunately. Anything but top 8, given the expectations leveled upon this roster, would have been a failure at this tournament. But for Bliss, who have improved so much, I think we can be happy with going out in the last game of the Swiss, their best result to date, but not making top 8 2 events in a row, a team we hoped a lot for. It's sad to see them go, but they are very easy to root for, and I imagine we will in the future.
Very true. Bliss have given it a red-hot crack this time, but A disappointment after top 8 at SI, and yet top 8 didn't make main stage in Sao Paulo. They were gunning for the same here. They wanted to make their debut in front of the crowd, but they couldn't get it done. BDS, though, it's been a road to redemption for them. Staying such a long time with the same 5 players with that French-speaking roster. They've made some critical changes. They brought on a Turk, they brought on an Englishman, and now in Manchester, they will get to have users play on the main stage. It's been a rough tournament for them. BDS came in looking like the tournament favorites. All the Europeans were saying that this is the new best team in the world, and we haven't seen that so far. They got dismantled by PSG Talon. They also lost to the former champions of Furia. They had a real tough game against CAG yesterday, but today it was all work as usual against Bliss. A very convincing match that will send them with confidence onto the main stage. And we're going to hear from their Brit users right now.
Thank you very much, gents. Yes, BDS victorious. Uses, you were on fire this entire game. How does it feel to make it to the main stage on home turf?
It's more of a relief than like excitement, to be honest, because we kind of expected ourselves to get to the stage, so it's just a relief to get there finally.
A lot of stress, a lot of pressure on you and the rest of the team?
Yeah, as you can tell from the first 3 games or 4 games, I can't remember how many it was. I think it was 4. But we almost lost to CAG, we lost to PSG. No one expects us to do that. That's probably why. I think that's why Bliss was easier, because after we lost to PSG, like, all the pressure was kind of gone, because if we lose PSG turn, we expect ourselves to win. We don't really care anymore.
I mean, you kept it rolling here, and even the end, when you were victorious, there wasn't much in the way of like screaming and shouting to get into it, which is unusual compared to all the teams we've seen. So what was up with that?
To be honest, it's only because it was like 7-2, 7-3. Like yesterday against CAG, you saw our game, it was like, we lost 7-8, then we won 8-7. It's like a lot more, I don't know what to describe it, it's like pressure, hype. Like you feel it so much more.
All right, so now it's confirmed. BDS will be on the main stage. You get to play with a home crowd with you here cheering for you and the squad. What do you want to say to all those that are waiting for Friday to see you and the team performing?
Just pretend we're all English. Just pretend we're all English. Support us like we're all English.
There it is. So pretend they're all English, hype up BDS. They're not a French team, at least not what we're seeing from users. Though, thank you so much for joining us on the interview. Really appreciate it. But we will take a quick break. We'll come back to the desk and have yet another interview in depth with Likefak and the rest of the squad.